Hello everyone and welcome to North 100, a Canadian Highlander podcast. I'm Serge. Today I'm joined by Jer.
Hello.
Alex.
Hey.
And Wheeler.
I'm gonna skip my draw and dredged grave troll. I'm gonna return it till my deck's no more.
Reminder that this podcast is brought to you by you with support over the Patreon at patreon.com. Keep it together, Serge. /loading ready run. Let's start the way we start every segment with Wheeler singing. No, that's not true. With the best card you're not playing. And up today we have Jer. Jer, what's your secret tech?
This is a card that's near and dear to my heart. Recently did very well with it. It's Commence the End Game. For those of you who don't know what it does, which is probably most of you, it's an 6 mana instant for 4 blue. It cannot be countered, which is the most important text on the card. And then it says draw 2 cards, which is the next most important text. And then the next most important text is amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand.
It's a lot of text on that card.
Yeah, I mean, for 6 mana, you expect some amount of text.
Can I get a full oracle on what a mass is?
Yeah, you put X +1/+1 counters on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a black zombie army creature token first. 0/0.
Wow.
So say
you get an XX for the cards in your hand.
You get like
yeah, you get a. So it's a threat. It's a draw spell. It's instant, and it can't be countered.
I mean, that sounds like if there was a checklist of things that Jer cares about in Magic.
Yeah, it covers most of them, and it costs more than 4 mana, just enough to tilt Ben.
It's very. I give you a lot of redacted for Jer cards, and this is certainly a Jer card, but even I have to at least admit that this is a card that will kill a lot of people and is scary.
Well, and especially in the blue mirrors, like, it so often goes to who flinches first, and it's often bad to flinch first. Whereas this is actually the best card to just slam first. You do it on your opponent's end step. It creates a threat that likely can't be dealt with very easily, because in the blue mirrors, it's going to be like greater than 6/6 almost every time. It pulls you back ahead on cards. It's very difficult to deal with. Like, not many people outside of me are playing the exile counter spells that actually work. This can't be spell cleared, so there's very few ways to actually stop this from happening.
So what's your sweet spot for how big your army is?
You don't care about that whatsoever.
Really?
Two power, good enough.
Even in an empty hand, you're like, yeah, all right. So question.
What?
You're playing this primarily in control, and you'd be bringing it in just in a blue heavy meta, or are you just slamming this all the time?
I think more control decks should be playing this. I don't think it's unreasonable for some of the bigger blue mid-range decks to play it, and I think ramp decks should probably play it as well.
You think it's that good?
Well, it just does everything you want. Like, it's as long as people are playing blue decks in your meta, and your meta's not like
all mono red or whatever,
lightning fast. Yeah, not like all combo and aggro. Then I think it's a reasonable card.
It's pretty good in like the time walk, the bigger time walk decks. So like Curb Your Enthusiasm style, because like that deck passing up with a bunch of mana and ramp decks passing up with a bunch of mana isn't always. It's not like, oh, they have a Commence the End Game. It's like, oh, they have a hand of like Sakura Tribe Elder and Farseek. But like, you get a threat, you draw into more cards, then you just repeat, take some turns, and kill them.
Get them.
All right, let's talk about today's theme. So it's February, and February is the month of love. I don't actually like that introduction, but it's already out there in the world. There was Valentine's Day last Friday. This episode's going to be coming out a week after that, and we thought, why not talk about a format we love, and specifically maybe some perfect pairings. Maybe this is our fanfic episode where we talk about all of our Highlander ships.
That's the thing with fanfic, is that every episode is a fanfic.
I know, it's kind of weird. As soon as I'm saying that, I'm like, we always talk about the format we love. We always talk about our fanfic and our stories and stuff like that. And you're like, what's different?
So are you saying the real Valentines were the friends we met along the way?
It's just the format. We're just living in a state of perpetual Valentines, I guess. Is that romantic? Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's start with a topic of your forever deck. You're trapped on a deserted island with a bunch of other Highlander players, but you can only ever play one deck for the rest of your life. What deck holds that spot in your heart? Let's start with Wheeler. What is the one deck? I'm curious about this. You're not a one deck kind of person.
Can I add on to Forever Deck, because I use that phrase constantly as like a way to get people into the format, in that it isn't necessarily just reserved for a hypothetical desert island containing a bunch of degens on it.
Wow.
So you're on Degen Island. All right.
I'm always on Degen Island. In that, like, a Forever Deck is... if somebody's like, hey, I'm looking to get into this format, but I've never played this, what do I do? You know, the classic, like, I want do thing, but me no direction. And it's like, okay, well, let's try to narrow it down. And, like, one of the most common questions you can ask is, like, what do you like to do?
Yeah, right?
And so if someone's like, oh, I like to play red, it's like, great. You can build a red deck.
You want aggro, you want goblins, you want medium, you want big red.
You build it.
What's your flavor of red?
You build it. And then you can quite literally just play that, because there are these decks. It's not going to be every deck, but I mean, the further we go down the chain in Magic, the more decks become possible forever decks. If you pick mono red, you get new cards every set. You get new ways to build your deck, new strategies, new like ways to have your curve. You could quite literally play that exact same deck, and it will feel different. And it's mono red, a deck full of like 30 bolts and 40 shocks.
So just to clarify, you're picking mono red.
Well, I guess the question I have to ask your Wheeler is, you're trying to argue that the Forever deck is, you're not locked into the same 100 cards forever. This is an archetype, and you still have your collection, and you can still tinker around with it, but you're locked in X.
It's just something that you'll never get tired of.
Okay.
And that you're
I
happy to
understand.
see it. It's a lot like marriage. Now, you just never get tired of it. You're happy to see them at the end of the day, and you're just like, even if they change, you're just like, you know what? I still love this, right?
Yeah.
It's just
We can
they're
grow
still there.
together.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So,
So which deck is your Kiefer?
so this is one of the weirder sentences I've said.
Okay.
My Kiefer is Sandra Bullock.
That's so inside baseball. Nobody's
I
gonna
know.
get that.
So my forever deck is Abzan pattern.
Wait, let me translate for you.
Okay, sure.
Ben Wheeler's husband
Yeah.
is the deck archetype Pattern Rector.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's also weird.
I didn't see this coming.
Really?
Did you see this coming?
I had it narrowed down to that or eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Pattern Rector.
Oh yeah, it's
Ben always goes back to that one.
Pattern
Every time.
Rector is a deck that I've played for about 9 to 10 years now in this format. It was one of the like first, wow, we actually broke it kind of moments for this format for me, and former counselor that helped out with it, whose name I won't name for the sake of not naming them, and because
I just immediately thought of Cradlehoof or Craterhoof and Kiki Chiki.
oh yeah, Cradle Jiki. That's the true 2-card combo. But it's something I've loved for a long time. It was the first moment. It was the first I've been a counselor for a long time. And one of my favorite parts about working with Highlander is also just trying to absolutely break it in half.
Sure.
And during years where it was more, there was less players, less, whatever you want to call it, there were certainly some things that weren't addressed on our points list. Birthing Pod being one of those cards.
God, yeah.
And it was a big fat 0. And the funny thing is, this isn't the best pod deck at all, but it was a pretty good pod deck for that. So for those not familiar with what Sandra Bullock or Abzan Pattern Rector is, it's an Abzan deck that uses a couple of key cards. Academy Rector is a big one. Academy Rector is the titular Sandra, or the Sandy Bee, of the deck. It's a 3 and a white for a 1/2 human cleric. When Academy Rector is put into a graveyard from play, you may remove Academy Rector from the game, exile it. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card and put that into play. So we're going to find Pattern of Rebirth, thus the pattern part of Pattern Rector.
But that's not Omniscience.
I know. Well, Omniscience wasn't even out.
It's better.
Yeah, it's much better. Pattern of Rebirth is 3 and a green for an aura, enchant creature. When enchanted creature is put into a graveyard from play, the creature's controller may search their library for a creature card and put it into play. And what creature are we finding? Meat.
Academy Rector.
Arena Rector. Meat and eggs.
Sorry.
Protean Hulk.
Don't you mean Protein Hulk?
No,
Protein
stop.
Hulk. It's made of meat.
And eggs. We eat. For those not familiar with this card, you're lucky. It's a 7 mana 6/6, 5 green for a beast. That's relevant. When Protean Hulk is put into the graveyard from play, I'll get that in a second. Search your library for any number of creature cards with total converted mana cost 6 or less. Put them into play. This is a 3-point card. Basically, you get a sack outlet. You get an Academy Rector. You win the game. And you can do that.
You need another creature, too.
Sure. You can do that a million different ways. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to do that because think of a creature with an ETB.
Sure.
Great, they're dead.
All right. I need to one closing thoughts on the deck.
Closing thoughts. Oh, you can just do whatever you want with the deck.
Okay.
It's super customizable. The points that you use are incredibly flexible. For instance, since it's a beast, you can set up there's a build that I have played in the past where we use the Devoted Druid Vizier Remedies combo to get infinite green mana. And with mono green, how do you kill someone? Because all your sack outlets have black. But what about Ravenous Baloth, which is a 4 mana 4/4 beast that says sacrifice a beast, gain 4 life.
Knew it was going to
Ta-da!
have to do with Ravenous Baloth.
I've won a tournament with this. Obviously with the Baloth in tow. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. You can do anything. It's beautiful.
And just like the beautiful sack loops.
That's wild.
All right, Alex, what's your forever deck?
It's Black Mold.
Yeah?
It's
It's what
Get outta here.
It's what you think it is?
yeah. No, like okay. Notable mention to stuff like Grey Weenie, like Orzhov Hate Bears, and of course the Aristocrats. But it's gonna be Black Mold, just Golgari aggro. Again, there's a lot of flexibility to it because like you can point the deck in a variety of different directions. It's like you can go the sort of like evasion route with shadow creatures and ones with flying. You can even play like Dryad Sophisticate. It's never getting blocked ever.
Underrated card.
Yeah, I need to play that. I think that might be my favorite 2-card combos, like Dryad Sophisticate, Grafted War Gear. Get 'em.
Choo-choo.
It's 1 and a green for a 2/1 with non-basic land walk.
Oh yeah.
I have a Russian foil.
Yeah,
That's a good
That's
one.
pretty spicy. It's just like a really solid core around which you can put a variety of different threats. I've probably not even scratched the surface of what's possible with it. So,
As the premier lands pilot of the format, I'm happy to say that my forever deck is Blue-White Tempo. Yeah. So it's interesting because it's not one of the jankier decks that's in my wheelhouse.
Now hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more well known for things like Lands Enchantress, Lands Workshop Weenie, Lands, and Lands. But Blue-Eyed Tempo, I think it was the first list I really saw success with. So when I joined the format, I don't know, years ago, and started with a Commander Precon deck, like the Gave of the Spores. And then after getting just like roasted a couple of times, I'm like, oh, let's try something else. Let's try a deck with interaction. Let's try protecting a threat. And I come back to it every couple of years. I'm just like, yep, I still love this deck. And I'm like, it's really interesting, really engaging, really tough Magic, and I find that very rewarding. The issue with a lot of non-interactive decks, you're like, okay, I won the game and they weren't in it, or I lost the game and I wasn't never in it.
Honestly, if somebody asked me, like, what's the first card or cards that come to mind when somebody mentions Surge, It's none of the memery. It's just Aethersworn Canonist plus Mana Leak.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Mana Tithe.
Or, yeah.
That's the Surge card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there's a single card I love in that one so much, it's Azorius Guild Mage. Like, that card just does everything I want it to do. It's a 2/2 for blue-white hybrid. For 2 and a white, tap target creature. For 2 and a blue, stifle. And you're just like...
Does it hit triggered abilities or only activated
I think it's
abilities?
active.
Oh, is it only activated abilities? It doesn't also hit triggered abilities?
yeah, it's only
Counter target activated ability. Ah, dang. Well, regardless, Azorius Guild Mage is just like, get in there. It's not Russian, but I have a beautiful pack foil, and back in OG Ravnica, it had that texture. It looked like waves shimmering across the surface, like an old style foiling thing. So it's very, very
It's one
pretty.
of my favorite Christopher Mueller arts. If you're an audio listener, please look up this art. It's gorgeous.
Jer, tell me about your Forever deck.
To very few people's surprise, my Forever deck is blue-white control. I love playing that deck. You can play it so many different ways. You can play tap out. You can play like no win cons. Just show your opponent your handful of cards when they have none and hope they concede, or actually secretly hope they don't concede, so you get to keep playing.
I was going to say, I laughed because I thought it's a Forever deck because it takes forever for you to do.
I can play one game of Magic the entire time we're stuck on D-Gen Island.
The matches take forever, and Jerry is actually trying to deck you.
I put Psychic Spiral in this list.
I don't even know what that is.
And don't worry about it.
Not worth it.
Not important. Yeah, you can just play it a bunch of different ways. You can win a bunch of different ways. You can do sweet stuff, and it's the kind of Magic I want to play. Like, very interactive. You sort of have game versus most things except Flash Hulk. But nobody's Forever deck is Flash Hulk, so, you know.
Josh Lane kicks open the door. What'd you say?
Oh, what up?
No, he's casting Cruel Ultimatum.
Yeah, his Forever deck's
Yeah.
a Cruel Ultimatum.
So very interesting that amongst the four of us, no red decks.
I mean, if somebody put a gun to my head and told me I had to play mono red for the rest of my life, considering the circumstances.
Well, that
it would
doesn't mean anything.
No,
though.
I mean, it's still enjoyable. Like, that would be fine. Like, that's like if they're like, that's it, you have to play mono red for the rest of your life. It's like,
you coward.
It's like, oh, that's it. It's like, what do you mean? It's like,
all
well,
right, sure.
Okay.
I mean, you could have
actually some
picked
fun magic.
something
Cries
more.
and Ancestral.
Could have picked something more heinous, right?
My cards.
All right, so the next favorite ship we're going to talk about is our favorite 2-card combo. Now, not necessarily a combo like Painter Servant Grindstone or something like that, but 2 cards that you just think work really well together. And we're gonna go reverse order this way. We're gonna go back to Jer. Tell me about 2 cards that you think belong together.
Can I make a suggestion? Are we allowed to have really quick honorable mentions? Because I
Sure.
it's so hard.
Sure.
All right. Well, in that case, let's start off with my honorable mention, which is Snapcaster Mage and Ancestral Recall. It's a classic. They were meant to be together. When Snapcaster Mage got printed, Ancestral was just like, you're the one. It's perfect. But the real ship here is Humility and Jace Architect of Thought. There's not a lot of things more beautiful than your opponent just like trying to play the game after you've set this up and just knowing they're so hopelessly lost, but you just get to sit there doing whatever you want.
For those that haven't played like Lifetime, some of the most have some of the highest lifetime records of Return to Ravnica block constructed, what's Jace Architect of Thought do?
It's 2 blue, enters with 4 loyalty, Planeswalker, +1 until your next turn. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1/-0 until end of turn. Reveal the top 3 cards of your library. An opponent separates the cards into 2 piles. Put 1 into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library in any order. One of the
-2.
most misplayed abilities in the history of Magic. Everyone puts the other pile into the graveyard. And then -8 for each player. Search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. Then that player shuffles his or her library. You may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. So the reason this card is so very excellent with Humility is because humility makes their creatures 1/1s with no abilities. And Jace's +1 creates a delayed trigger that say, whenever those creature attack, they get -1 power. So if anything attacks you, it attacks as a 0/1.
Okay.
So they can never pressure your Jace and or other planeswalkers you may have deployed or deploy in the future. Most decks have rightly so, taken up cards like Knight of Autumn, Thrashing Brontonon, Still Reclamation Sage, Kasali Pride Mage to deal with enchantments, and very few play cards like Dromoka's Command or
Disenchant or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, not many more of those running around. Usually they're stapled to creatures because more
People
versatility,
want that value.
more value, and they're tutorable in those decks. Like it's easy to tutor for creatures, difficult in white and green to tutor for Council's Judgment or Disenchant. So most of the decks where you really care about having this set up have literal 0 outs to break it.
It's so good. Humility against like the Bant Blink decks.
It's literally just game over. Now they're 1/1s with no abilities. It's perfect.
This just sent me back to memory lane, and I was thinking about all these beautiful humility decks I've played.
You know what the best part is, because 3 out of 4 of us are hardcore humility players.
Yeah.
And then Alex
Alex looks around.
you put counters and equipment on things, so it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. But like,
Well, I also like you play humility in the tokens deck sometimes.
yeah, you played humility in the Pox deck, right? Maybe. But like the best part is that when you drop a humility against those creature decks, is that they still have hope, but like it's hopeless.
Wow.
Once some of them even are like, haha, you didn't wrath me, and you're like, oh, it's so much worse. You have no idea.
All
I didn't
right.
wrath you yet.
So I'll start with my honorable mention. Thank you, Wheeler, for tripling the length of the segment. It's perfect. So I don't think there's anything more beautiful, especially against a creature deck, than casting Armageddon and then following it up with a Tabernacle. Which I've only pulled off. The people at the table I've only ever done to Wheeler when he was on Hoof, and it felt pretty good. It felt pretty good. I still lost that round, but I won that game. But no, that's not my forever pair. My forever pair is Hedron Crab and Oboro. I can't think of 2 cards that are more made for each other. Hedron Crab, a single blue, gets you a very handsome 0/2 crab with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, target player mills 3. And Oboro.
One second. We're staring at the art for Hedron Crab. Would you say that you are the crab and Hedron Crab is the Hedron that he's holding so tenderly just staring at longingly?
I'm the little spoon in this relationship.
So you're the Hedron, and Hedron Crab is holding you and staring at you.
The crab is just holding me in its loving embrace.
Find someone that looks at you the way this crab looks at the Hedron.
Yep.
And the land Oboro is a legendary land. Taps to add blue. You don't care about that. For generic mana, return it to your hand. So what's that? You don't have any lands in your hand? Well, Oboro lets you mill for 3 every turn.
Also, this art is spectacular.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Alex, which 2 cards are you going to ship together? And you have room for an honorable mention. So
I might actually cheat and just say like Lotleth Troll and a Rogue's Gallery of creatures that come back from the bin. Because that just feels great. Just chucking a handful of garbage to this thing. It's like, oh, I get it anyway. It might also just be Lotleth Troll and Winding Constrictor. Because that feels stupid.
Yeah.
what does the troll do for the value?
So the troll is I love this card so much. Black green for a 2/1 zombie troll with trample.
Why does it have trample?
That's maybe the best text on the card.
Bring souls.
Yeah, you can pitch a card, a creature card, to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it regenerates for a black. Just nice, clean little card.
This is the most Alex card.
Yeah.
It's even eating a leg.
Yeah.
So you feel great pitching creatures that come back. Your Bloodghasts. Your, the best one just straight from its own element was Gravecrawler.
Zodiac Dragon?
What? Get out. But yeah, this is really crazy with Winding Constrictor, which is the same mana cost for 2/3. If 1 or more counters would be placed on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1 are placed instead. So every activation is 2 counters instead of 1.
That gets out of
Quite
control
good.
pretty quick.
God bless this card.
It's very good.
All right,
Very,
Wheeler,
very good.
who you shipping?
So my honorable mention is mostly because I didn't want to do my main mensch dirty like that. Is Oriox Salvagers and then Black Lotus. Or Lion's Eye
Bomberman.
Diamond.
All right.
Bomberman plus a very pretty flower / diamond.
Bomberman.
How do you feel about this, Jer?
Oriox Salvagers is 3 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier, maybe an artificer. I forget.
I don't think
my copy's
I
in
think
German.
I think it's an artificer.
You pay 1 and a white to return target artifact with converted mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to your hand. This could be infinite mana with Black Lotus. This could be a slow Pyrite Spellbomb their board and kill them. Could be Aether Spellbomb, whatever, but mostly Black Lotus to kill them. But honestly, it's got to be my boy Mana George Hydra plus Berserk.
Oh,
baby! So Mana Gorger Hydra.
George.
The George. 2 and a green for a 1/1 trample Hydra. Whenever a player casts a spell, you put a 1/1 counter on George.
George, why?
And then Berserk.
I like that this is such a good combo that it has redundant trample.
Oh yeah, this is peak Magic. Like this is
actually Magic. As
this
Garfield
is
intended.
so good. Like this is something that never has gotten old. Berserk is a 1 green instant. Cast it only before combat damage has been dealt. Target creature gets +X+0 and trample, where X is its power. And then at the beginning of the next end step, spoiler alert, you never get to that part of the game because the game's over. You destroy the creature if it attacked this turn. So George gets really big. I've attacked for 40 with George and Berserk. Like you just get to this point through cheap cantrips and whatnot. And Berserk is just so pure, you know. It's beautiful.
I gotta play that card more often.
Oh yeah.
All right, now our final topic of shipping, and this is one that I think a lot of Magic players often get to, and I often have a hard time answering, but I'm going to put myself on the spot today, which is favorite color pair. You have to take 2 colors of Magic, and it was interesting because when we gave our Forever decks, you had 3 color, you had 2 color, and then we had 2 color, but I wonder if our favorite 2 color combos forever will line up with that. So yeah, pick 2 colors, ship them together, explain why. Why are these your 2 colors? Wheeler.
I can answer while he's thinking.
Yeah, Alex can go because I had an answer and now I'm regretting everything.
You would think that it was Golgari, but I think it's actually just Rakdos.
Really?
It might just be my thing for like underdogs, because it's nobody's really made that deck work like ever, except maybe in Goblins. Like Rakdos Goblins is like a solid deck.
That's cheating though.
Yeah,
I
because it's like
guess.
already a good monocolor deck.
But it's just it's a really cool color pairing. A lot of my favorite cards come out of there. So it's like maybe Rakdos appearing in a deck with a 3rd color. But I just love those 2 colors together. It's just like, get them.
Interesting. I think my 2 favorite colors altogether, and I don't know if any of you would guess this, blue-green.
It's good.
Nope.
I'm seeing, yeah.
I was gonna guess green white.
I was gonna grasp blue black. That was my
Interesting.
curve. Yeah.
Interesting. No, green blue. And the reason being just the flexibility and archetypes it does. So when you look at Rakdos is just like, get 'em. Whereas if you look at green blue, it's like you can play lands. You can play some like real stiff tempo. You can play curb. You can play the time walk deck. You can go like just heavy ramp and draw spells. It offers so much flexibility, but at the same time, I feel like in all of those shells, both colors still get to shine. It's still very much in their wheelhouse, even though they offer that much flexibility. You'd think just like the color known for big, dumb, idiot creatures, and then the control color would be more narrow in what they have to offer. But she's like, nope, there's a lot of wiggle room in there, a lot of very, very, very powerful magic. And I was just like, oh, you were made for each other. Kiss.
Kiss.
Jer.
My favorite is going to continue my trend of blue and white. Blue is the best color, and white is the best support color, because blue can't do it on its own. Needs a strong partner to prop it up, help it realize its full potential.
That's maybe the weirdest part about blue being, like, in air quotes, the best color, is like it's only the best color with something else on it. The cheese doesn't stand alone.
Yeah.
Blue is just like towering over everything, being like, tremble before my recalls and time walks. And then the support, like white or red, is like, hey, do you mind if I sit this one out? And Blue's just like, no, wait, come back. Please.
No, I need a way to kill them.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I can't answer anything
in this
that
case,
resolves.
blue just needs a way to not die.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
just
no,
like,
what if they have a lava spike?
it's like Mutavault.
Yeah.
It's like blue's the big elephant, and any other color is a mouse.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no.
Get him.
Yeah, but I think blue and white go very well together. White has answers for everything, and blue wins you the game.
Yeah.
That easy.
Can I pick brown?
Yeah.
Great.
Brown and
cheating.
what?
Yeah.
He's gonna pick brown and blue.
Double. blue.
It was going brown and silver. No, it was going to be brown and yes, brown and blue. Brown and blue.
Okay.
I love what blue does with every other color. I was originally going to say blue green, and then I was like, wait, no, maybe it's blue white. I was like, maybe it's blue red. Honestly, it should just be blue and then two other colors. But like blue and brown, like artifacts, is just so beautiful. It's a thing that can't really get achieved by anything else. Like, you can talk about green being like the hyper mana and whatnot, but it doesn't do it the same that Academy does
No.
it, or Talismans do it. And like, white has stacks cards, black has stacks cards, but like, they don't have Trinisphere. They don't have Ensnaring Bridge. Cloistered, Bottle Cloister. What? I mean, they do, because they can cast these cards. 'cause they're
I was
colorless.
sitting there, I'm like, well, you can play all those cards
But
in those
they
colored deck,
don't-
but I understand what you mean.
it's not the same.
Trinisphere isn't white.
Yeah.
It's 3 generic.
Yeah, and like Ancient Tomb, and like it's oh god, yeah, hell yeah. Just colorless mana and blue cards is so beautiful, and
Why?
it can do everything.
Why was blue the artifact color? Why blue? Well, why?
It was.
Yes.
I mean, it was like every color except for black and green, right? And then they shifted, because there was a whole bunch of white cards back in the day that had artifact synergies and like recurring artifacts. They all did different things.
So
with artifacts,
shards
right?
put that pretty heavily into Esper, right?
Yeah, like shards was the Esper plane, but like black is. I don't want to speak to the lore behind why black is there, but like red too, right? Light.
Right, I guess
like
red
with the
Dreddies
Tinkers, your Dreddies, and everything like
There were
that.
so many red cards from the first 5 years. Well, not 5 years. From the first like 3 years of Magic interact with artifacts. Now they do it in a certain way of like, I'm going to
Tog.
pick. Yeah, exactly. They're like, I'm
Yeah.
going to pick up this artifact and throw it really hard at you, which is a little. There's more of a cost to what blue says, where it's like, I'm going to pick up this artifact and look at it for a really long time and then kill you because of that, right? That's blue. That's Academy blue decks in a nutshell. You're just like, huh, oh, neat. Oh wow.
Are you dead yet? Yeah.
Is the game over?
I didn't see those color combinations. I'm really curious why you thought I was blue-black.
Ninjas.
No, I mean ninjas are a part of it. I think you seem to have, having known you for so long,
Sure.
you seem to have the most fun when you are doing things within blue and black, and often the third color, if you're pairing it with those two, is there to just, again, protect from lava spike or whatever, right? Like, sure, the green lets you do certain things, but like, I don't know, there's just like a certain joy that I see in your eyes when you're like casting like thought erasures and stuff like that.
I always struggle so much with this question. You get a lot from fans, like, what guild are you? And I'm all like, I'm guildless. And they're like, no, you're not. You're like, why'd you ask me?
Yeah. My usual answer is just screaming at them loudly until they stop asking me the question because it's so infinitely difficult, especially when you've been playing the game for so long.
Favorites I don't do well with because it's just like I don't have like.
It's just like, what day of the week is it?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, what's your favorite? What's your favorite weekday? It's just like I don't know. They're all different. I don't like rank them in a sequential tiered thing.
What guild are you? Have I died to Gore Clan Rampager in the past week? Yes. Jeskai, baby. It's not even a guild. I don't care.
Now that's interesting. When we were talking about forever decks, I was shocked you didn't go Jeskai.
So was I.
Jeskai and Sandy B are kind of similar in that sense. Although, no, they're both 3-color decks with a lot of flexibility that I've played for a long time.
I was gonna be it's like,
But like Jeskai's old faithful.
Sure.
Like Jeskai is just like, oh, this is so comfortable.
Gotta call up the fixer.
But Pattern Rector is just like, hey, do you want to do something weird? It's like, yeah.
It's that one sketchy friend that nobody else knows that you like call up
Oh,
on
I
a
shouldn't
weekend.
hang out with you. There's a lot of blue decks here,
like-
but okay, I will.
I've got lighter fluid and matches.
Who wants to try and cast Sun Titan?
So for no disrespect to Alex and Jarrett, but I definitely was just like, yeah, your answers make sense. I was just like, yeah.
You can just say we're predictable.
No, I'm not predictable.
We don't have feelings.
I mean, that's...
Did you put Alex on Rakdos?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. It's not like it was a curveball, right? Sure. It's other answers I would have expected from Alex was zombies, like Zombielander as a deck you've tried really hard. You're like, I'll keep tooling that for a while.
That's cool, but like it's not one that I would play forever.
I could have seen, honestly, I could have seen Jer go Orzhov. Or not, Orzhov. I almost conflated it with Esper. Like Orzhov or Selesnya, right? Like, there's a big difference from, like, decks that we play a lot and love and that kind of thing, and then, like, again, the decks that you see when people play, they get a sparkle in their eye, or they, like, really talk about it a lot, and you're just like, oh, you're in love with this deck.
Shut up!
Well, that's the thing. Like, we've all played so much, we all have, like, multiple legitimate answers to the question.
Stop it. No, you like Obsidat. Stop it.
No, seriously, stop it. I'll hurt you.
God, I'm going to drain you, I swear.
Obsidat is really cool. Oh, I just got an honorable mention for best 2-card combo.
Go on.
It's Nahiri, 4-mana Nahiri.
Yeah.
Her ultimate plus Obsidat.
So you just find Obsidote.
Yeah, you get Obsidat, comes into play, nugs them, you attack with haste, blink it.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't go back to your hand.
to your hand. And then
How do you feel about Goryo's Vengeance and Obsidat?
Oh, you know what?
You get around the Forever Exile
That's
by
really
exiling
cool.
it.
I just thought of another one that you could do. You could go Nahiri Ultimate into Godo Bandit Warlord.
You're gonna have to tell us what that card does.
Godo Bandit Warlord is 5 and a red. It's a 3/3 samurai.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when he enters play, you search your library for an equipment, put it into play, and then whenever he attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control. After this phase, you get an additional combat phase. This is cool because you can get Batterskull and then attack twice with both. Not in the same turn that he gets haste, but...
Every CDH player in the world heard you mention Godo, and their ears just perked up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where they shuddered.
They love this, yeah.
This is a card I keep wanting to play in something, but I just... Yeah.
This card has won multiple tournaments, and not in big red or medium red.
Oh, it's not even a samurai. It's a human
It's a
barbarian.
barbarian. It untaps the samurai.
It has samurai synergy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Why?
Somebody played this in 4-color control because it just found Batterskull.
It's really
And they
good.
were just like, all right.
Do you remember the good old days of Highlander, where control decks would just run Stoneforge Mystic just to tutor for Batterskull against the red decks?
Were
I
those the good days? And I'm speaking from the control side of that.
Remember the good old days when every deck was really bad except for a couple of them?
So control decks could get away with putting Batterskull in their deck.
Oh, I have this draw that is absolutely horrible. I guess I can do it because my opponent's playing a 6-mana 3/3.
Well,
All right. Any sort of closing remarks on ships and things you just want to shout out about Magic that you love?
sometimes try a new ship.
sometimes try a new ship is good
Float
advice.
a new ship.
Yeah.
There are a lot of two card combos I despise. But
Do any of them start with T and end with I'm Vault?
yes, all of them actually.
Yeah.
But like, there's something really pure about two card combos when you go beyond stuff like Time Vault plus Key or Infernal Tutor plus LED or whatever. You know.
Do you know what
Humility
2-card combo
mode.
I love? Because it has one of my best favorite cards, and I should have honorable mentioned this one actually.
What's that?
Dual Caster Mage plus Twin Flame.
Oh, get him.
Have won a match with it this
Yeah.
year.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty
Dual
sweet.
Caster Mage is such a sick Magic card.
It's so weird.
It's very weird. This is another one that I keep
Super
wanting to
good.
play, but I have no idea what I would put it in.
Just play it as a value card.
That's why cards like this make for the best two card combos. Is because you're just like, you wouldn't play this by itself, but if it's in your deck and you're just like, oh wait, this is a huge blowout.
Speak for yourself, Ben.
Okay.
Oh, all right. I mean, all right. If we're going that way, I have to give an honorable mention to Swans of Bernargle,
Oh, just Swans and
Chain of Plasma.
Chain of Plasma,
yeah, there you go.
which I won a game on stream last year, I think against Alex with that combo. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it.
God.
It's happening.
He's evolving.
All right. Let's go today to our closing segment, Powerful Magic. And this is a story that brought me a tremendous amount of joy. It's not a great magic story, but it's a great story.
Okay.
Perfect.
So this is one of the off-camera matches at the last Friday Night Paper Fight League. And it was immediately after Cameron and Alex had played on camera, and Cam had survived being on the other end of draw 7.
Don't you mean Cameron or
Cameron and Nelson? What did I say?
Cameron and Alex.
Oh, Cameron and Nelson, I'm sorry.
Alex on camera was too busy making me reconsider all of my life
Yeah,
decisions.
yeah, Alex was murdering
One
the cat
toughness.
deck. Dark blast. Sorry. Yeah, so, Cameron had just survived being across from Urza Draw 7 Academy and was a little bit rattled. And Nelson was just like, all right, I feel a little bit bad right now, but that's fine. So we're off camera. We're sitting there. Nelson and Cameron are trying to have a little bit of small talk to ease the tension. And Cameron and I start playing, and so I'm sitting there. It's like, I'm here. Cameron is here. Nelson is beside him, and in the sake of trying to make any type of small talk, Nelson is just like, "Is that foil Vindicate in your hand? Pack foil?"
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this moment where like Cam and I both just turn and look at him, and we're like, "We're in a game of Magic." like we are playing Magic in a tournament right now, and you just told me a card in his hand.
Have you?
Oh no.
Have you heard the "Is this a card" story?
What?
The Yellow Jacket "Is this a card" story?
No.
There's it was like a Highlander double upper for Staples, like back in the day when like people would pay $10 and win an Underground Sea, and it was like a win and in.
I miss those days too.
It was like
yeah.
a win and in bracket or a win and in match or something, and there's a guy playing a mono red. It's like mono red against something else, and the player that's closest to where kind of foot traffic would be for people coming into Yellow Jacket, etc.
Yeah.
Is sitting there kind of like trying to tank on the game, and a kid comes up and like grabs the top cards of his deck and goes like, are these cards? And like throws them on the table or something. And the guy's just like, what is happening? There's a lot of just like little instances of just like, huh? Oh, like the cycling story.
Yeah, that's immediately what
yeah.
that reminded me of. Like when your opponent just, in response to your turn 1 mana crypt, they have not had a turn, puts a land into play, taps it, and cycles a card.
That was Powerful Magic Jared told a bit ago.
This is like harsh cheat step.
Well, it's when it's not even a cheat though. When it's like your brain just shuts off for a second, and it's harmless but profoundly bad both at the same
cheating
time.
implies intention, and if that is intentional, there are issues at hand more important
Against
than
a level 2 judge.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just,
Nice.
Oh,
I hecked up, didn't I? Let me just put these right back in my hand.
yeah.
Just put myself in the sea.
I've had people like I mean this happens all the time. Stuff like this. I've had people fate seal me with a Jace. They'll be like fate seal you, and then I'll reach over and like I've reached over and looked at their top card and been like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
it
but
just happens.
To go back to the original story, like all of us were just dumbfounded. And then Nelson realized what he did because he was like, "Oh, is that an original pack foil?" Because like there's a bunch of there's several judge foil
Yeah.
Vindicates that all look different. There's
Yeah.
the Star Wars one, the Soren
God.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the rest of us were just like, "Whoops,
What do you do?
pardon?"
That's fun.
Bruh.
So that today, friends, is going to conclude our episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing about a little bit of love that we have in the format, a little bit more fun, silly episode. Reminder that Northern Hunter is brought to you by you with support over at the Patreon, patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.